Hi there, my name is Shauna Bowen, and I am the author and creator of Zero Relapse, as well as Zero Relapse for Loved Ones. And if you're watching this right now, you signed up for my free support. So welcome to Zero Relapse, welcome to my website. And this particular program is going to be geared towards the person who feels that they're suffering from some sort of an addiction and they're having problems with really getting into long-term sobriety, as well as the person who may be not sure if they're addicted and are just kind of curious as to where they might be with addictions and their relationship with drugs or alcohol. So this is really geared for you. Just a quick background with me. I was a substance abuse counselor for about 15 years. I worked in a variety of settings, including like juvenile drug courts, adult drug courts, juvenile rehab centers, adult rehab centers, public mental health, and also private practice. And so I really had 15 years to sit with someone who was dealing with an addiction and also pursuing sobriety. And really where I come from is watching those 15 years of what worked and what didn't work, and then bringing that back to you. So I wanted to offer just a few quick tips to help you with your understanding of addiction, and if you're wanting to pursue sobriety, how to get on that like immediately. So I've got some notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. And the first thing I would want to tell someone who is dealing with some sort of an addiction is to really take a look at the concept of denial. And I'm sure if you are someone that's been drugging and drinking, that you've had family members or friends or perhaps even like community members, like a juvenile probation officer or a police officer, perhaps give you feedback that your drinking and drugging is becoming out of control and it's leading to consequences. And when that starts to happen, we see the person who's drinking and drugging starts to go into this concept. I don't even know what to call it. I feel like it's this like organism or something called denial that kind of encapsulates the addict and really gives them a distorted way of looking at the reality check that's coming in. So you've got the reality check, which is the consequence for the drinking and drugging. Perhaps it's a DUI, perhaps your girlfriend broke up with you, perhaps your parents are getting angry at you, perhaps you got kicked out of school or something like that. So you've got the reality check coming at you that's saying this is a consequence for your drinking and drugging. And then denial kind of swoops in and says, nope, that's not reality. My drinking and drugging has nothing to do with why these things are happening. The reason those things are happening is because you're crazy, you're not being fair, and if you all just leave me alone, we'll be fine. And so denial is really this complex way of thinking and behaving that convinces you that your drinking and drugging is not the problem. So for anyone that's really starting to take a look at this, the first and foremost thing that I would want you to do is to really pull away the chip on your shoulder, pull away your defenses, and to really allow your friends and family and community, probation officer, judge, whatever, to really offer the full hit of the truth, which is the reason your life is beginning to go downhill, the reason you're receiving unwanted consequences is solely due because of your drinking and drugging. And once you can kind of open up to that and receive the reality check and the truth of what's really going on, that's like the beginning. That's like you taking your first step on the journey of recovery and sobriety. And so denial is really important to understand, and how you are in denial, because there's all different ways to convince someone that there's not a problem. So that would be my first suggestion to you. And in my Zero Relapse program, we go into way big detail, deep support and detail about how to understand what denial is and how to get out of it. Once you're kind of out of denial and you've accepted there's a problem, the next thing you're really going to want to do is you want to gather your motivation, because I'm sure that you know that your drugs of choice, alcohol or a combination, whatever it is, that the thought of living without it probably scares you. In fact, you probably are not even quite sure how to deal with not using anymore. And so the next strategy is to really understand and gather your motivations. And again, we talk about this more in the program, where this is going to be what pushes you to kind of go through the rough patch. So you really want to take a look at what is motivating you to pursue sobriety. Are you sick of your parents not trusting you? Are you sick of watching your mom cry when you get hauled off in cuffs, I don't know, to jail? Are you really upset that you got a DUI and you may lose your driving privileges? Are you sick of not being able to keep or sustain a healthy relationship in your life? Did you get kicked off a team? Are you not quite sure where you stand with your old friends and your new friends? You're not sure what you think of them. It's kind of like your drug-using friends, and that's kind of where you bond at, and there's no other real relationship there. So to really take a look at what's going to motivate you to actually give it up. And you're going to need a nice big case. You're going to propose this case to yourself of why your I should stop using needs to become I definitely need to stop using. So it goes from yeah, I should to now I have to. And so where you really want to build that motivation, and I get a lot of my material with motivation, a great resource would be Tony Robbins, where he really goes in deep regarding motivation, where he really says you're either running from pain or you're pursuing pleasure. And what we know about the drug addict, I mean, we've all heard it, is drug addicts have to hit their rock bottom before they'll consider sobriety. And so that really threads through nicely with what Tony Robbins is saying, which is how bad does it have to get before you're willing to give it up? And to really take a look at, are you at a rock bottom? Now for me, I don't even know you and I already care about you because you've signed up for this program and I want to help you. I want to be of service to you. Whatever has happened, it's enough. If you have people who care about you, it's enough. Like today is enough. Whatever's happened, let it be enough. Why do we have to have this horrible rock bottom with these horrible stories? And if you can imagine me being a counselor for 15 years in the trenches with the addicts that suffer, you can imagine the stories I've heard. And I always wonder what would have been like if he or she would have considered sobriety a year earlier, 6 months earlier, last week. So really take a look at what are you willing to do to no longer have any pain? So that would be like Tony Robbins saying, I'm going to now run from pain, and really create that case. And then on the other side, think about all the good things that could start to happen for you if you just gave up the drinking and drugging. What kind of friendships could you make? What kind of schooling could you pursue and be successful in? What kind of family relations and work opportunities could come from you giving up the drinking and drugs? So that's really what you want to do, is build that case for motivation, because you're going to need it, because as you start that journey of sobriety, it's going to get really difficult. There's going to be some hardship there. Third, go after supports. Find your supports. Find the people that support you in recovery, and get to those places. Perhaps there's even a place, a support group or anything like that you can get to that can help you with the beginning journey of sobriety. Last thing I want to do is I'm going to give you the top 10. I call it the top 10 of recovery tools. So I'm going to go through these really quick. First and foremost, stop hanging out with people that use. I know that you probably want to reach through the camera and shoot me right now, but I'm telling you that what I saw, and I'm getting these from what I saw that worked. Number 1, stop hanging out with people who use. 2, stop going to places where you know your drugs and your alcohol or whatever it is that you're into is going to be. Stop. Just avoid all places where you know it's going to be. And that may mean that you find new places to hang out at. You know, maybe all the places you go to have the drugs and the alcohol or whatever it is that you're into. Third, avoid boredom at all costs. Once you give up the drinking and drugging, and you're no longer hanging out with those people, and you're no longer going to those places, and the drinking and drugging lifestyle has now been removed from your life, you're going to have some empty spaces there. You're going to have time to kill. Idle hands can be trouble hands or relapse hands. So one of the best things that I can suggest is get busy. Don't be bored, because boredom leads to addict thinking. It leads to relapse thinking. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, I'm looking at my notes, make sure. Okay, do something that you enjoy every day. One of the things that we want to do is to change the neurochemistry. So we want to find another way for you to feel joy without the drinking and drugs, okay? 5th, move your body every day. There's been a lot of research out there, and they're even calling exercise is medicine. That is now what's coming. the importance of moving your body and exercising is going to do all kinds of awesome things to support a sober life. So whether it's shooting hoops, dancing, yoga, I don't care. Join a gym, go move your body every day, okay? Also, I found that this worked really well, especially with young people, but for everybody. Do something creative every day. So pick up an art, whether it's making pottery, expressive dance, fooling around with watercolors. There's something very therapeutic to that, and it can be very cheap and very healing for someone that's pursuing new recovery. Also, clean up your diet. That's going to be we're at number 7. Clean up your diet. We're actually number 8. Junk food and sugar and all of that kind of toxicity and soda, all of that stuff is triggering a response to continue to use and drink. So when you clean up your diet, there's less triggers to go back to your drugs of choice. And I go way more into detail with this with my Zero Relapse program. Also, and this is something that I talk about in the program, it's called looking into amino acid therapy. And I don't have time to explain what that is, but in my rehab centers and in my Zero Relapse programs, part of my recovery system is take your aminos, clean up your diet and take your aminos. And basically that's nutritional supplementation that's going to help relieve cravings of your with your drug of choice. And lastly, something that I really saw that worked very well is to pursue a spiritual practice, whatever that is for you. I don't care what it is, but there's something very profound about letting a spirituality of your understanding be a part of your recovery as you remove the drinking and drugging from your life. Because what they say, and I totally agree, is that there's kind of this emptiness that is felt once the drugs and the alcohol go away. And one of the best ways to fill that emptiness is through some sort of a spiritual practice, through some sort of understanding or relationship with something bigger than yourself that can really bring you to a place of serenity. And that's truly a great tool, is just to pursue serenity while you're pursuing sobriety. So that is my top 10 for you. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I wish you the very best with your sobriety path. And if you are ever wanting any more support, please continue to go to my website, continue to look at my programs, continue to read my free e-zine that you've now signed up for, and I just wish you the very best. Thank you.